hey, do your techniques work?
Right.
Is your, in a real application, things like that, are you making progress in that way? And I think that's, again, part of what, understanding these things, that these things are different and that they also can be the same. And we need to understand that. And I just want to say one more thing real quick. When I first started, my teacher told me, he told me, he's like, well, if you want to learn to fight, just go fight. You don't need me to learn to fight. You don't need martial arts. If you want to fight, just go fight. You can go
Mhm.
fight. You don't need a teacher. You don't need anything else. And if you want to get really good at fighting, you're going to have to fight.
Right.
And so I just want to say, and fighting is still not quite self-defense. It
Mhm.
is, but then it's not. So it's something that, again, these are
Yeah.
fuzzy lines. And I'll be
Yeah.
quiet from here. So thank
No,
you.
no, very good. Go ahead, uh, Steve. So the person comes to me and says, "Hey, Aikido is not a self-defense; it's an art." And I look at them and I go, "Hey, that sounds really pretty. Those are some nice words, but what do you mean about that?" So, why do you think people are saying it's not a self-defense and it's just an art? So, go for it, buddy. If you'd like to weigh in on
Oh,
that.
on top of what Aaron 100% I agree with says, um, we can take exactly what he said. Now let's break that down. Um, is key style an art or self-defense? Is Aikikai an art or self-defense? Let me move up the ladder to Yoshikan, which is
Mm,
a heck of a self-defense
very hard
Aikido
style.
that the
Mm,
Japanese police use.
mm,
So when they say it's not self-defense, like what I just read, they don't understand it.
mm-hmm,
So it's the ignorance of the public that's seeing that it's not self-defense, which
mm,
I 100% disagree. It's a hell of a self-defense. As we all know, it can be. We can do things the easy way or the hard way.
mm-hmm,
All right. But key style, they got some great, beautiful things in that art to learn for some core stuff. Our style, Aikikai, it's kind of a little smorgasbord of a little of everything. But it's up to the dojo cho and that individual dojo or organization. What are they emphasizing? Are they emphasizing just kata, meditation, the beautiful part of the art? Where are they at? You know, where, are they even doing self defense, or is it just that
mm.
whole pretty art in that dojo of rolling, falling, nice technique, or are they taking it as a self defense?
You know, as I'm listening to both of you, when I was wrestling with this topic and we had kicked it around before, I really think I'm leaning to this final for myself and for my dojo is that there is two paths there. And Aaron, I agree with you when you said it's yes to both, right? And I think that's where the confusion to the public is. And let me make that a little bit clearer. It looks to me after all these years and studying and listening and everything, there's actually two paths. There's that path that you're sharing about what I would say is more like a kata. And I'll refer it to like this. So I teach Iaido, right? And in Iaido, I'm not teaching people to take their sword and go out on the street and cut people up. We know that that's not going to happen. But we understand that within inside Iaido, there's a lot of principles that are transferable into Aikido and into self-defense. Weight under side, ma'ai, timing, moving with your whole body, all of these areas. But at the end of the day, I would not go and say, yeah, idol is a practical self-defense on the streets, right? It has a different focus. And that's okay. Now, what I'm wondering is this. Are are we saying that it's all right that Aikido, one path of it, is just focusing in on that? Like I'm not sure which one of you said it's about movement, the rolling, going through, executing the techniques. But at the end of the day, we're pretty much saying, well, that's not a focus of self-defense. And then there's the other part that says, well, I like all that, but I also want to be able to have what I'm doing become practical for self-defense. And I think if I'm getting my head around this, I don't think the public when they're looking at Aikido and they're seeing, and I apologize in the you won't be able to see it, but I'm going to be putting some videos up, maybe right here, and showing about what I'm talking about, where people, you might have seen this video where there's this gentleman who has three attackers, and one's got him in a headlock, the other two there, and he's sharing about Aikido, and he starts going like this. It's the move and the flow, and the guys all fall down, right? And people look at that and they go, what the? And a matter of fact, that same man, you're probably zeroing him, Lenny Sly actually brought him in, and they had like a 3-day seminar dealing with this. And if you haven't seen that, that's a really good one. And I watched this MMA guy get hold of that, and he called it out as BS, right? And so he went in there and had real attackers and everything. I think that's the confusion, that people are looking at that gentleman showing the Aikido. He's not, unless he says to his students, this is self-defense and you can use this movement to do it. I think I call that BS, right? But if this is a kata learning energy, movement, and flow, that's cool. And I think the public in large wants us to step out and go, that's what Aikido is. But that's only one portion where I think it was Sensei Aaron said that, yeah, that's the yes. And the other side, as you're saying, is that it's an effective art in self-defense. What am I kind of hitting this on the head here, or am I just down some crazy rabbit hole and trying to drag you guys down with me?
No. I think that, yeah, it takes a long time with this art. And
in the beginning, right?
And okay, so let's say the rolling and the falling and things like this. It's like, we don't think that if somebody doesn't think that rolling and falling and getting back up and doing that 150 times in a 2-hour period, or
right point.
If somebody doesn't think that that's going to make you a little bit tougher,
yeah,
I'm sorry. And if somebody thinks, that maybe, you taken however many falls you might take in a, I mean, that's toughening the body up, right?
Right.
And when, and I think we said it last when our dry run on this, is that, the better person is going to win.
Mm-hmm.
So you got two people that show up on a given day. Maybe somebody's wife just passed away and dog got run over,
mm-hmm.
and somebody else had the perfect breakfast and everything, and they got up, and you got two people, and now they're competing with each other, whether it's a street combat situation or something, or they're in the dojo, or they're in a competition or something like that.
Right.
The better person's going to win,
mm-hmm.
right? The better person that day is going to win. So a lot of these discussions, we're not talking about apples to apples. We're talking about this scenario and that scenario. So
very true. Very hard.
If we take this, the better person wins. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the conditioning of the Aikidoka, the person, coming in, if you're training, you got, you got your awareness, you got your training. The better person may win. Okay, you have your techniques, and you may very well, with using your Aikido skills, just not get into a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
There just may be a whole number of conflicts that you just may not even be a part of.
Situation and awareness, right?
And then situational awareness, which I've personally used multiple times, and I'm certain it's gotten me out of some potentially bad, possibly situations by just
mm-hmm.
not being there.
Right.
But I don't think we're quite hitting your top. I don't think we're hitting what you're asking for quite on the head. But I think some of this stuff needs to be explained.
Good.
And it is difficult to try to take the training of Aikido, and it is a little bit different than some of these other arts, and to, we're being asked to rationalize or to back up or to justify, our art.
Mm-hmm. Asking us to take a look at it, and Steve, you have anything to add on that?
I think also the definition of Aikido to a lot of people, the way of harmonizing the spirit. I don't flow with that. What does harmonize mean? Does that mean taking that bad guy and putting him back on the path? I'll harmonize him, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Versus this kumbaya of a way of harmonizing the spirit. That's great if you want to flow with that, but I take it the other way.
Mm-hmm.
The way of harmonizing the spirit is making me a stronger self-defense martial artist, best person I could be, with that.
I like it.
In the same time, if I get up there and demonstrate Aikido, you see me do all these nice defense move techniques up there in a demonstration, change the scenario. I'm going to do nothing but atemis and do with my Aikido. So now am I looking like this karate guy giving back before he do anything? So if I start with all these atemis and finish with Aikido, what's the difference between me and the karate guy or the judo guy? So now I'm up there. Am I up there on their level? So where do we draw the line of when do we start being equal with Krav Maga, self-defense, karate? Oh, wow, we're doing nothing but atemis and defending. Or are we just being a defensive art?
Very interesting topic, and maybe that should be another elephant in the room. I would, yeah. Let me move a little bit further. This kind of is a good segue into the next
Got away
topic.
from it a little bit. Sorry, guys.
No, very good. No, this is what it's all about. And I want to let everybody know, please, in the comments, each topic that we're talking about, get in there and share what your feeling is. And we know there's going to be a lot of people saying Aikido's, horrible, blah, 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 blah. I hope we have real Aikidoists, other people from different martial arts that are commenting based upon what we're talking about. And the idea is to promote Aikido, to deal with these topics as a community, and find out how we can have our Aikido touch many generations. So the next topic is, and I like this one, can traditional Aikido stop or defend against a person who is willing to use physical violence towards you? And I want to specify this: traditional Aikido.
Define traditional, please.
I like it. I'm going to define it within our own organization. That we can relate to that. That says, okay, I want to come in and get my ranking, right? I want to become a black belt. So I have to go through these requirements. Shomanuchi, Yokomen, all of these traditional in this area. So that's what I'm talking traditional. I'm not talking about them coming in and left, right jab, working, defending against someone shooting on you in these different areas. Because the reason I'm touching that also is we have a young man out there putting a lot of videos. And I think at first when you start listening to him, he's the one, I'm not going to say his name because you'll know who he is, that he left Aikido, right? And started doing BJJ, and he's on his path to find out everything. And I thought it was very important for my prepping to go in there and hear what this young man's having to say. And there's a lot of truth what he's saying. It's really good. His heart's in the right place. But at the same time, I'm finding that most of what he's, after really listening to him, he's getting to the core essence. He's saying, hey, traditional, the way it's trained in the dojo, the way that it's being done is not going to work on the streets.
That's the way he was trained.
Pardon?
His Aikido may not work on the streets because that's the way he was trained, not the way.
You know who said that? You're right in line. Lenny Sly. I remember listening to him. Don't tell me mine doesn't work. Or Steven Seagal. My Aikido freaking works, right?
Well, yeah. His is amazing, strong, very strong defensive.
Yeah. Go ahead, my friend. So you feel that traditional, your students going through, let's say, the Q ranking up to black belt, are being trained, and that traditional will help them, will keep them safe?
Well, you're saying traditional from your dojo, traditional from AIF, traditional from Aaron's dojo.
Damn, I like this. You guys opening a topic. Yeah. So then, are we saying that we have to define traditional then?
I think you almost do. I mean, what are you going to draw the line?
This is our problem. But right now, this is why Aikido has a bad name, because we're all caught up in words and stumbling on ourselves right now with trying to defend the art. So
right.
Aikido today it's morphed a little bit. Look at it 50 years ago. Look at it 75 years ago. Okay, so if you're a martial artist, I don't care if you're karate or BJJ or something else, whatever art that you choose as a primary art, there's going to be holes in that art, no matter whatever art it is. And Aikido is no exception to that. There's going to be holes. Now, to get good at defending anything, kicking, striking, takedowns, eye gouges, biting, ear tearing of ears, breaking of wrists, elbows, shoulders, knees, ankles. You have to play with that to know what it is to defend it. Okay, you have to. Okay, so if you're a cage fighter and you're going in there and you can punch and kick and all this really good, but you've never had a thumb in your eye,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to end
It's a
something.
reality check, right?
It's going to end it really quick. A thumb in the eye is going to end it, but we're talking about different sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen it, you're not going to be able to defend against it. If you don't know what it is, you're probably not. It's like the strike that you can't see, the attack that you can't see, you're not going to be able to defend. And if there's an attack that you're unfamiliar with, not familiar with, or have very little experience with, then you're at a disadvantage. So now I would say, so everybody's right.
Very good.
Everybody's
statement.
right in this discussion, because if you're a primary Aikidoka and you know what, you're not taking quick strikes, you're not training with fast strikes, like lightning fast strikes coming in, you're going to have a problem dealing with lightning fast strikes. If you're not dealing with lightning fast kicks coming up to the temple, you're going to have a problem dealing with that. You're going to need to play with that. That doesn't mean you have to be an expert, but it means that you have to have some kind of knowledge of what these things are. What's available for one human being to do to another. And Aikido addresses a certain part of that and there's no art that addresses all of it.
Said perfect. I mean, you can't say it better than that.
Yeah, I think you're kind of giving some clarity. And one of the things, the intention of all this is, I think the discussion is important, and it has to come from the Aikido community to look it in the eyes, the elephant, and go, "Hey, I'm going to talk about that." Not and to defend, and people say, "Well, I don't have to defend it." No, we're sharpening our swords, we're listening, we're becoming a community, and it's really important to get that clarity, because and I think, Aaron, you hit it really good, is this, and I feel about this the same way, is if how you train in the dojo, if you're not expanding into these other relations and you're sticking into a curriculum that doesn't allow you to do that, then the reality is when you're on the streets, or you like this, we've all seen this in a test, a person who's training but hasn't been trained for an aggressive attacker, right? They get up there, the technique's called out, and they're used to, training kind of slow and everything. And then all of a sudden, in our organization, we have some guys that are like lightning, right? And hopefully they're coming in with good, strong strikes, right? That's a different beast.
It is.
Yeah. So I think
yeah.
What's happening is when people look out and what's out there on YouTube, and because that's the only way they're seeing what's going on, right? They're saying, well, that's Aikido, that's not real, that blah, 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 blah. And a lot of that stuff, I think, either you're going to clarify that, hey, that's a kata. That person's not looking to deal with that. And that's cool. And they should go to strive to make that the most excellent that they can. That's a different beast. Now you really don't see, maybe people really beginning to show, the other side of it.
Well, like just like
go ahead, Steve. I know you're ready. Go ahead.
Like Aaron said, that was put perfect. I mean, just that one segment was just a definition of taking that next step for real definition self-defense. But I had some upper belts come to my dojo as guests before we went on vacation here, and we were doing katatori ikkyo from the side. It was like deer in the headlights. When they attacked from the side shoulder, they there was a hesitation. They didn't even know what hit them when they came in right to the shoulder from the side, versus standing in front of a person grabbing them. This is another problem that we have in Aikido. We got to train with different variations of what's going to come at you on the street. And we got to expand that format of what we have. And if we don't,
can I interject on that? Because that's a beautiful topic, my friend. And some of the videos I'm going to show up there. Have you seen this? And staying right with your thunder. I hope I'm not stealing it, buddy.
No.
So you get this guy. There's this video, and it'll be on this YouTube, on this podcast. And he's coming, he's talking about, hey, Aikido's the number one, it's the best, BJJ is full of bull, right? And that's how they come together, right? And this guy gets in there, and the BB guy, they don't even have gloves on, all right? And they start off, and that guy goes over there and aggressively comes after that Aikidoist, and he smacks him so hard you can hear it halfway around the world, and the guy's like, wow! And then he gets up, that guy comes at him aggressively again and slams him. And this is a lot of stuff that's showing out there. And I think what Steve, you're saying is very true, is that situational awareness. A lot of Aikidoists, and I can't say everybody, because I know a lot of these other guys are beginning to deal with it, having a person doing a technique and then having two people come at you, and one of them aggressive and the other guy come at you, and then you're trying to do that technique, as Aaron was saying, that's another area. And that's what I'm kind of leading to. Will traditional Aikido, sticking within the curriculum, prepare you for that?
It's going to take a long time. I think the answer that we're looking for is no. I think that's what the answer that we're fishing for is. Well,
I think we're kicked. Yeah.
Well,
but, however,
go ahead, finish, Aaron. Yeah.
After a period of time. So if you look at the 3-year Taekwondo student is going to be further ahead than the 3-year Aikidoka. Okay, but over a period of time, the Aikidoka catches up. Okay, so if you're a young person, you want to smash and bash, whatever. Okay, Aikido, maybe get your black belt in karate and then come over to Aikido, and then see what Aikido has to offer. If there are doubts about the art of Aikido. So in dojos all over, there are martial artists that basically have gone through 40 plus years different martial arts, and then they found Aikido and they're like, this is the best thing that I've ever seen.
Yes, this is true.
This Aikido thing has everything in it. And so but if you don't have experience to know what everything is, you may not appreciate what you see in Aikido. And I think that's a big part of it. But I agree with Dr. Wasserman that I think people don't understand. But it doesn't matter if they understand or not, because in this case, they're looking at, we're having a general discussion about, well, the art of Aikido and how does it compare to other arts? And I think that might be instead of comparing Aikido to the mean attacker on the street, compare it to maybe some of the other arts, because no art is, if you're training in a structured form, right, with structure, you're not dealing with real world scenarios.
Yeah.
So if you're dealing with, let's get 5 reps of this technique, I don't care what art it is, you're not truly dealing with the real world. When you're in a dojo on the mat, in a gi, training partners with an instructor, or you're teaching somebody and you're responsible for their safety, right? Where you got a student that comes see you, and then you're going to make sure that they go home safe. Okay, these are all things that martial arts has to deal with that a street thug doesn't necessarily have to do.
Right.
So you have one art against another, one art against an aggressor of a certain type, things of that nature, but they all have something that they do, each art has something that it excels at, and then it has other things that it's weak at, and that's where I think you have the cross-pollination of martial arts.
So we would say then, looking at the traditional curriculum, and I'm not sure if you're sold on that, Steve.
I am, Eugene, with that traditional definition you just defined, and of course Aaron expanded on that. Traditional Aikido, you can train on that, what you just defined as, for 50 years. You could have a 5th dan, 6th dan, 8th dan. If they don't train hard street Aikido, like Aaron mentioned earlier, if you don't train that way, you only train how you're going to react on the street. So you could be a 10th dan. I don't care how good Aikido year is. But if you don't train in a real fight scenario situation with real everything, you will not succeed out there. I've seen too many arts over the years of what is needed to really train on that level. And so have you. So traditional Aikido, what we know, that's great for us to learn art and share and pass down and get the roots. But unless you train hard, how does it feel to get hit? How does it feel to get hit in the chest? How does it feel to be choked?
Hmm.
That's how we train in Krav Maga,
Right.
and it was amazing.
Yeah, that reality. I put my students in a scenario where I have some young ladies, and I put them in a scenario. They're trying to achieve situational awareness and try to pull off a technique. And then I send two guys in on them, one a distractor, and the other one's going to come out and tag them. At first, it's a total, oh man, this is sad, right? But as they start getting used to it, getting that situation, and they
Right,
realize, oh, my technique isn't good. And of course, they're not on the streets. They're not going, I'm going to use this technique, but we have to train to make effective technique. Let's move on. Very good. Get in there and look at that elephant and see what happens. Right. How about this part? And this one, I really, because as a when you're responsible as an instructor or a dojo cho, I think we have to look at this. This one really tugged at me. Do dojo chos have a responsibility to inform potential students and current students exactly what kind of Aikido is being taught here? And what I'm specifying is, I think my Aikido